I recently took one of the cheapest trips of my life, flying Frontier Airlines from Chicago to Atlanta for $45 round trip. After flying the A321neo down to Atlanta, the next part of the journey was to take the A320neo back up to Chicago. This flight was the more quote-unquote expensive one of the trip, coming in at around $26 one way. But with that being said, let's jump on board and get back home. Once I arrived in Atlanta, I had about 3 hours to wait in between flights. Shortly after getting off my inbound flight, I was happily surprised to see Frontier's oldest active aircraft parked at one of the neighboring gates. This is November 210 Foxtrot Romeo, a 12-year-old Airbus A320 named Sheldon the Sea Turtle. Frontier is gradually retiring all of their Airbus A320s and moving towards an all A320neo and A321neo fleet. In fact, this aircraft was just recently removed from service earlier this month, making this a very special catch. Atlanta is, as you may know, the busiest airport in the world, but of course at 2 a.m. it may not seem that way. My inbound flight arrived into Concourse D, and my flight back to Chicago would depart from Concourse E. As I've covered previous times, all of the concourses at ATL are interconnected by underground walkways or the plane train, so it's not that hard to get from place to place. In less than 5 minutes, I arrived at Concourse E and proceeded to spend the next 3 or so hours doing some work and just waiting around. Our flight this morning is the first of the day leaving Atlanta for Chicago, flight 1574 at 5:45 a.m. I couldn't help but mention just how many people were also here overnight, having arrived the night before on various Frontier flights and spending a few hours here before departing someplace else. So when I booked this $45 ticket, I deliberately chose not to pay for any extras like bags or seat selection. If you don't pay for seats, Frontier will automatically assign you one for free. And for this flight, I was assigned window seat 20A, which I was totally fine with. If you're thinking of bringing carry-on luggage or checked luggage on board, please make sure you pay for it while booking online, because Frontier divides their boarding groups into those who have paid for bags and those who haven't. I was in Atlanta for 3 hours anyway, so a small drawstring bag was all I brought along. This qualifies as a personal item, and Frontier allows all passengers one free personal item as long as it fits within these dimensions. Frontier really emphasizes their baggage policy as much as they can, but unfortunately not everyone reads the fine print. I saw so many people get pulled aside while boarding, being asked to pay around $100 per carry-on bag because they didn't pay online while booking. Frontier's A320neo features 180 seats in an all-economy class layout. The first 3 rows and one of the exit rows feature extra legroom stretch seats. This aircraft has the newer Frontier Slimline seats, which, despite being very thin, are not bad at all in terms of comfort. The seat back is also quite standard, but unlike Frontier's older seats, these new seats have actual tray tables, which are also extendable. Below the table is a seat pocket with a very stretchable pouch in which you'll find a safety card. The legroom is around 28 to 30 inches, which I found to be perfectly fine, and then above the seats are reading lights, call buttons, and personal air vents.
To fasten your seatbelt, insert the flat metal end into the buckle. To adjust, pull the loose strap, and to release, lift the top of the buckle. The seatbelt should be worn low and tight across your lap. This aircraft safety information card. Also on the safety information card, you will find instructions for the use of those escape lines Escape lines are designed to assist customers evacuating through a window, exiting while on the aircraft wing during a water evacuation. They are located at marked overhead bins.
I had been up for almost 22 hours straight at this point, so you can imagine I was quite tired. As such, most of the flight went by with me sleeping. In terms of service, there really wasn't much. Refreshments are all for purchase, and there's no in-flight Wi-Fi or power outlets, so keep this in mind before you fly Frontier. After a pretty quick flight up north, we soon began our descent into Chicago. As usual for the winter season, O'Hare was running their west flow approach pattern. Today we descended over northwest Indiana and Lake Michigan, before passing downtown and landing on runway 28 Center. When I booked this super cheap ticket, I knew exactly what I was getting myself into because I understand how low-cost airlines work. With that being said, and as I said last week, I would only recommend Frontier to those who know how low-cost airlines work and those who travel with very little luggage. Otherwise, travelers with families or lots of bags might want to consider booking with the full-service airlines. But if I find a good deal on Frontier again, I will surely consider them for future travel. By the time we docked at the gate, I was in quite a rush to get to downtown as soon as possible to catch my 8:15 a.m. train home. As such, I didn't film after this point, and so the video ends here. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here for more exciting videos. But until then, take care everyone, and I'll see you all again very soon.